My name is Mikheil Saakashvili. I'm a politician. I've been president of my country, Georgia, for 9 years. And I also worked in different positions. I was head of local self-government. I was a minister. I was a parliamentarian. I was leader of an opposition, and I was leader of parliamentary majority. I'm also one of very few politicians that succeeded to be a politician in 2 different countries. I also served as top-tier politician in Ukraine, where I was governor of its most strategic region. I have an extensive international experience, and today I decide to address you about the things that I think a lot about, and I would like to suggest all of us to think about them and maybe to come up with some innovative ideas. Today's politics is old-fashioned and outdated. We all feel it. It's changing. The life changes every day, much faster than our politics. Our politics are done in very much the old ways, and I think it's the main source of crisis in today's politics. We are still looking for new leaders. We are unhappy with our leaders. We are increasingly disgruntled with existing political realities. But as a solution to them, we are looking for new ones. We want to fit in new faces into what is basically an old-fashioned and outdated system. Let's go back into history. When people wanted to take decisions in ancient Greece or ancient Scandinavia or ancient Slavic countries, cities, they would come to the main square and take the decision. They would elect their leaders, they would fire their leaders, they would sentence people to death, they would expel people, they would distribute their own cities' budgets. Then there were much more of those people, not enough place on the square, and they decided to go for electing for elected representatives, to elect parliaments, to elect people who would represent them and who would be the ones who would decide the fate of their countries, their cities, their citizens. That's how we got to parliamentary elected democracies. Now, today's world is different. It's again one big square, one big marketplace. We have social networks, we have internet, we have all kind of, Facebooks, all kind of other programs in which we all take part, and we can again communicate with each other. And today's political system is old-fashioned because if we elect our parliament for 4 years, we are expected to wait for 4 years for all their trials and errors, for all their mistakes, and wait until next ones come in 4 years. But 4 years is too much time in politics. 4 years is amazingly long time. In 4 years, in every 4 years, world changes so fast. We just cannot afford to wait for another 4 years for new ones to come in and correct the mistakes. That's why what we need, and look like, as an example, if we have, for instance, like computer games, you might make a mistake in a computer game and, for instance, get killed. And so then you are deprived of right to play another game for another 4 years. Or, for instance, you don't pass your driver's license test. Are you supposed to wait for another 4 years until the next trial? And there are many examples like that. Of course not. Why we should wait for our parliaments or presidents for another 4 or 5 years? Why cannot we correct the mistake? And today's computer technologies provide for that. First of all, blockchain technology provides for elections that are free of fraud, and they're much cheaper, and they spare us of all this election committees and commissions and all kind of very expensive bureaucratic stuff, foreign hacking, etc. We can just have blockchain elections, blockchain technology elections, and secure our votes. The other thing we should do, we should be able to take away any law we decide is worth of our attention from Parliament. If we collect, say, depends upon the country and their size, but say 100,000 signatures, and with the majority of votes decide the fate of that law. With time, we can get rid of the institute of parliamentaries altogether. Look, we used to have people who would push buttons for us in an elevator, right? Remember? I don't remember, but I've seen it in old movies. I remember that we had people who could connect us by the phone. We had to call someone, some lady sitting somewhere, at least when I was in my office, that's what I would do, and she would connect me to some other person. No longer, we can call on our own everywhere, right? We almost don't have photographers these days. They are like extinct species because we all are photographers right now. Through this device, we can make as good photos as old professional photographers used to make. So what the hell we need parliamentarians for? Look, for the time being, I think most of the parliaments will stay in place, but the people will learn how to take over gradually, step by step, of their legislative activities, and then eventually they will get rid of the parliaments and have direct people's democracy. Of course, some populists might prevail from time to time. Of course, there should be some limitations. For instance, European Convention of Human Rights, certain things just cannot be done. But on the other hand, even if people make mistakes, they can correct their own mistakes. And they'll be much better at correcting their own mistakes than their elected leaders. That's why we need this direct democracy. That's why new technologies of blockchain are very good for that. That's why I invite you for the debate on that subject. I'm someone who has had an extensive experience, but very often I think that it was almost worthless. I was very successful. My country under me was world's #1 economic reformer according to the World Bank for 5 years. We did some of the things that were emanated by the rest of the world. We had the world's most efficient customs. Georgia is one of the safest countries in the world. We have some of the fastest bureaucratic procedures. But when I look back at it, it still was man-made, it was artificial, and it's not sustainable in long run because politicians change and new ones might want to abuse the system. We need to create a system that cannot be abused and that can be fraud-proof, that can be corruption-proof, that can be stupidity-proof. And I still believe that overall people are smarter than their elected politicians. Well, they were at least smart enough to elect them, right? Why can they not correct their own mistakes if people are worthless, if they deceived them, if they cheated them, which as it very often happens? Do we have always to go to Occupy Wall Street or to make, Black Lives Matter or to, regular revolutions in my part of the world? Why we cannot just once force them to give us that tool, to give us power back, and then never to be forced to take it to the streets again or to resort, God forbid, also to violence and other methods? We can do it if we think very carefully. I count on your intellectual feedback. We are gathering our Congress in Poland in mid-July on this subject. And if you want to take part, you are more than welcome. See you.